You are lying in bed. The house is quiet. Your parents are asleep down the hall. The dog is curled up beside you on the floor, right next to your hand, which hangs over the edge of the mattress. You cannot sleep. That particular kind of restless night where every small sound feels slightly too loud and the darkness feels slightly too thick. But then you feel it. A warm, wet sensation on your fingertips. Slow, deliberate. The dog licking your hand in the dark. You relax, of course, just the dog. You smile to yourself and close your eyes. From somewhere above you, a drop of water hits the floor, then another. You assume the ceiling is leaking. You reach your hand down again and the dog licks it once more. Warm, wet, steady. You fall asleep feeling safe. In the morning, you wake up to find the dog hanging dead from the shower rail, its throat cut open, drained completely of blood. And on the bathroom mirror, written in what used to be inside the dog, 4 words. Human hands can lick too. You were not alone in that room. Whatever was under your bed, whatever reached up in the dark and ran its tongue across your fingers while you lay inches above it, was never the dog. Welcome to one of the oldest and most enduring urban legends ever told. A story so psychologically precise, so perfectly constructed to exploit the deepest wiring of the human brain, that it has been terrifying people across multiple continents for over a century. This is the story of the licked hand. And once you understand exactly why it works on you the way it does, it will never stop working. The earliest recorded versions of this story trace back to the early 20th century, though folklorists believe variations of it are significantly older than that. The legend appears across the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, and several other countries, each with slightly different details but the same devastating core. A child alone at night. A dog for comfort and protection. A hand reaching down. A tongue in the dark. And a morning revelation so disturbing it rewires the memory of everything that felt safe the night before. The specific detail that makes this story so uniquely effective is not the ending. The ending is horrifying, yes, but the real horror lives in the middle, in the moment of comfort. In the moment when you reached your hand down and felt that warm lick and thought everything was fine. Because that moment was real. You experienced it. You felt safe. And the story then reaches back into that memory and poisons it. It tells you that the thing that made you feel safe was the threat. The comfort was the danger. The reassurance was the predator playing a role. That inversion is what makes the licked hand so deeply unsettling on a psychological level. Most horror works by presenting something frightening. This story works by taking something comforting, the warmth of a pet, the darkness of a familiar room, the sensation of being looked after, and revealing that the comfort was a lie constructed by something that meant you harm. That is a different kind of fear entirely, and it is a much harder one to shake. The story has a name in folklore studies. It is classified as an urban legend of the type researchers call a static threat, meaning the danger is not chasing you, not pursuing you, not making itself known. It is simply present, patient, still, right next to you in the dark while you sleep, doing nothing except waiting and occasionally making you feel safe enough to stop looking for it. The under-the-bed space is one of the most primal fears in human psychology. Developmental psychologists note that fear of what is beneath the bed emerges in children as young as 3 and 4 years old, long before they have encountered any story or media that would plant the idea. It appears to be something closer to instinct, a leftover from an evolutionary period when the ground level at night was genuinely dangerous, when something could be crouching in the dark below your resting place and you would have no way of knowing. The licked hand takes that instinct and validates it completely. It says, "You were right to be afraid. You were right to wonder. You did not check, and something was there, and you reached your hand down to it in the dark, and it licked you. And you went to sleep feeling calm, and it stayed there the entire night until morning gave you the full picture of what had shared that room with you." Over the decades, the story has evolved in the way all great urban legends do, absorbing new details, shifting settings, updating its texture to feel contemporary while keeping its essential bones intact. Some versions set it in a house being burgled, the intruder hiding under the bed of a sleeping child while the parents are away. Some versions involve an escaped convict or mental patient hiding in the room, a detail that grounds the horror in something human rather than unknown, which in many ways makes it worse. A monster is terrifying. A person making the calculated choice to lie under your bed all night and lick your hand in the dark is something beyond terrifying. It is a different category of wrong entirely. Other versions expand the story to include sounds, the dripping from above that the child hears and assumes is a leaking ceiling, which is later revealed to be blood dripping from the hanging dog above. This detail layers the horror beautifully, because it means the signs were there, the evidence was present. The sounds in the dark were telling the story that the child could not yet read. Everything that would have saved them was already happening. They simply did not know how to interpret it. That is another layer of the story's psychological precision. It does not just frighten you about the present moment. It frightens you about your ability to read the present moment. It suggests that the information you are receiving right now may be real and accurate, but that your interpretation of it could be completely wrong. That the safety you feel may be constructed. That the thing licking your hand may not be the dog. How do you trust comfort after that? How do you reach your hand into the dark beside your bed tonight and feel a warm tongue and not, just for a fraction of a second, wonder? The licked hand has appeared in campfire traditions, school playgrounds, sleepover collections, and horror anthologies for generations. It was a staple of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series that traumatized an entire generation of American children in the 1980s and 1990s. It has been adapted into short films, podcast episodes, and appears in collections of urban legends from countries that have no cultural or linguistic connection to each other, but independently developed versions of the same story. That universality is not an accident. It is evidence of something. When a story appears independently across cultures that have never been in contact, it usually means the story is touching something that exists in all of us. Some shared fear, some shared vulnerability, some shared dark corner of the human experience that does not require a shared language or history to access. The under-the-bed threat, the false comfort, the patient, still, watching presence in the dark, the morning that changes everything you thought you knew about the night before. These are not culturally specific fears. They are human fears, old ones. And the licked hand knows exactly where to find them. So tonight, when you reach down beside your bed and something warm and wet presses against your fingers in the dark, take a moment before you close your eyes, before you decide it is the dog. Make sure you know where the dog is sleeping. If this story got under your skin, hit subscribe, because we go deep into the legends, the psychology, and the darkness that follows you home. Drop a comment below and tell us which story you want us to cover next. Until then, keep your hands above the covers.